Let us pay respect to Luang Por ครับ First bow. Second bow. Third bow.
Good morning, everyone. So we have 2 full days left and then 1 morning. So just to kind of remember, maybe to go back to noble silence. We've had very interesting interviews and so on. So part of the practice is always redetermining your effort, isn't it? So we have a kind of golden opportunity to be with ourselves and whatever our mind is producing. So noble silence helps in that way. So I've been talking about this triad of right understanding, right thought, right effort, how they are really one piece. And so in terms of right understanding, I look at it in 2 ways. Right understanding as the existential experience I'm having right now, awake to that. So it feels like this, which isn't a comment or a judgment or any thought around it really. It's simply what we call the awakened mind. And that's a right understanding, which isn't in thought, it's in experience. Okay? And that you can always return to that if you just remember. So the remembering isn't a memory, it's a remembering of what awakening is. It's actually very, very ordinary and very straightforward. But surprisingly, we forget to remember, you could say, because we're always planning or organizing or regretting. So that you could say that's a part of bhavana training. You're training in remembering the way things are this moment. And you could see that doesn't depend on the type of experience you have. You can have a pleasant or unpleasant experience. They can be beatific, it can be catastrophic, but you can remember it's like this. And that's very profound. And to do that a lot is profoundly effective. So how do you remember that? Put notes on your fridge. It's like this. I had a friend who had some food issues, and the issues were deeper, but she used food as a way of escaping the issues. Well, she was a very wise woman, so she knew the problem. So she put on her fridge, the solution is not in here. Quite wise, really. So part of this challenge that the Buddha presents to us is it's not like anything, you have to find anything new. You just have to remember to practice. And that's what we call practice. So right understanding is that. But then right understanding is also the aspects of the teaching which lead us to the end of suffering, obviously. So right understanding is that the cause of suffering is the attachment to desire. And that is simply said, but you do have to investigate, well, what do we actually mean by desire when we talk about that? And what do we mean by suffering? So there is some study and some consideration that way. And once you kind of get that, then you say Penyang Ni Ang, and then if there's anything being created in this moment, what's the cause of suffering? Or if there's some discontent. But if you don't begin with the first one, the former one, it's like this. and you just jump in to the present moment reality with an opinion, with a judgment, with a preconceived notion, you actually can misperceive and actually make an error. So my continual example that I thought the problem was fear, but the problem was not wanting the fear. And that again is it's simple to say, but the delusion is very deluding. That's why we call it delusion. You know, it really fools you. It really, really fools you. So then you have these two aspects which are really helping each other. And then from that, one, you have to understand your own character. So say, myself as a young monk, I was very self-critical. That still exists, but it's not a problem. You know, I could just know that's just the personality functions in this kind of self-critical way, and I don't really believe it much anymore. But then I really did believe it. You know, it was really, so I could make a minor mistake and then just kind of beat myself up for days, which is avijja, delusion. So that's something you have to always look at, is say, how does the suffering as a personality arise in this being? And each of us is different in that way. One person might be self-critical, one person might be arrogant. And those are the voices of self that we hear, that come up in all kinds of ways. So that is self-understanding, not self-analysis. It's not so much you're thinking about yourself all the time, because that would just be narcissistic and kind of not fun. but actually just seeing, oh, this personality called Viradhammo comes up in these different kinds of ways. There's no one Viradhammo. There's actually a whole bunch of characters in there that come and go. So understanding yourself, self-understanding is part of right understanding. And that's very personal. There's no technique there. So having done that, and seeing how, say, in this example, that self-criticism and self-disparagement and a highly kind of idealized sense of who I should be as a monk, as opposed to the reality of what was going on, that kind of self-critical, Viradhammo, you should be better kind of stuff. From that, you say, okay, that is a mode of suffering. What kind of language could I use to balance that, or to attenuate that, or to somehow not suffer in that way? And that, to me, is part of right thinking. So, say and I've, throughout my practice, I've tried to just develop little gathas or little phrases that I repeat over and over again that help me find a kind of balance in my own sort of personal karma. So that what I used for a couple of years was infinite patience, boundless compassion. And that really fit my personality, because I wasn't patient and I was very harsh on myself. So then, okay, that's the habit of mind. So first of all, you have to be objective. If you just believe every personality, all the nonsense that goes in your mind, of course, then you're bah. And then there's another problem. But getting some distance and saying, oh, okay, this is just personality view, it comes and goes. But it feels real. Like, although self-disparagement is delusion, it certainly feels real. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It hurts, and it is suffering. So you can't dismiss it that way. So then in my case, it was, okay, okay. And so for my teachers or whatever, that's a strong ego habit there. And then the language then, okay, what kind of language would help me? And that's, I think, that's the kind of creative part of our spiritual life. You can't, okay, what kind of, infinite patience. I probably read that somewhere. I can't remember where I found that, but it really fit my particular obsession at that part of my obsessions at that time. And then bhavana, or right effort or development, would be sustaining, actually it's like sustaining attitudes, right? Rather than getting experiences. I'm not trying to get the experience of infinite patience, boundless compassion. I'm trying to just continually encourage an attitude of mind which would help me balance out the imbalances in my own conscious experience. So then you could see that's what we like. Bhavana is training, is something you do all the time, right? So right effort becomes the effort to remember, and then to suggest and train in attitudes which are balancing for my character. So infinite patience, balanced compassion. You're no good, Viradhammo. Infinite patience, balanced compassion. You didn't meditate enough. Infinite patience, balanced compassion. You ate too much. Infinite patience. Like constantly. And what you're doing is you're putting a whole different attitude and perspective on your experience. And this is the problem with habits, is that they are just so, they're just so strong. They just keep coming at you. Oh, please leave me alone. And so you have to be very diligent in that way. But it's not the diligence of getting something else. It's like, I'm going to get something called enlightenment, and then I'll get rid of this stuff. It's more with the stuff that you have. You learn how to develop awareness and develop wholesome attitudes around the very thing that you're suffering from. So the thing you're suffering from is the thing that you're training with. I mean, it's obvious, but it's kind of hard to see sometimes, isn't it? So say, like, recently, my gata has been, what has it been? I love making little gatas. I kind of enjoy that. But creating nothing, affectionate with everything, now is the knowing. I really like that. So for me, creating nothing is like the whole sense of, first of all, it's like this. And what am I creating on top of that? That it shouldn't be like this, or that what's going to happen tomorrow, all the blah, blah, blah that goes on, creating nothing, right? A suggestion, which is a mirroring to my own, maybe papancha that is going on and creating whatever, creating nothing. And I can understand that, it's not so far away. I can say, yeah, that makes sense. So creating nothing, affectionate with everything. I love the word affection. You have, affection. Yeah, it's a beautiful word. And so, like, I enjoy bringing in beauty into language. I use the word beauty a lot, don't I? Beautiful. I love that word, beautiful. It's a very nice word. And if you use language like that, of course, it affects you in that way. Rather than Viradhammo, you're not trying hard enough. It's not nice language, right? Viradhammo, you ate too many, what are they called? Those ones that I like? Did it again. That's so, and yeah, you think about it, if you if you have that in your mind, I mean, that's not a nice space to be in. But if you bring in beautiful language, and it's not indulgent, it's not like, I'm the greatest thing that ever hit the planet. It's not that kind of stuff. It's rather gentle and beautiful, and even just saying it is helping in right attitude. And this is one of the ways to look at bhavana. Bhavana is the development of, let's say, how should we say, the sustaining and developing of wholesome attitudes to create balance, something like that. So for you, you use Thai more than English, and Thai language is very beautiful. And who are you, and who are you not? and what aspects of your character are not a nice space to live in, right? And how could you, find another space to live in? So let's say I've had someone has kind of betrayed me or something like that, and then the memory comes up of the betrayal, and I think, I'll never forgive them. I'll never forgive them. You think about it, that's not a nice neighborhood to live in. But it is part of my memory pattern. So what kind of language could I use to not live in that territory? How could I maybe get out of that territory? And so something like creating nothing, affectionate with everything, now is the knowing, would be a way of kind of not living in that territory. So do you think of it? I mean, it's quite fun that way, I think, when you use language in that way, and then you create something which is quite, you know, it's like a boutique practice. is that the language we use? Like a boutique airline. We were on a boutique airline, weren't we? So it's kind of made to measure, something like that. So you do, first of all, you need to awaken right understanding. And then you really need to understand the Four Noble Truths. So you can always go back to that. And so all of you have studied that, but I always say to people, if I'm teaching a retreat anywhere, I say, people have to know the Four Noble Truths. You have to have at least done that kind of study. And then if you think about Luang Por Smedo, and he's been teaching for 55 years, goes back to that all the time. So it's not a beginner's teaching. It's a beginner's and an ender's teaching. You know, it has the whole thing, and the aspects of how tanha works, what craving is, what desire is. You keep going back to that. And like I was just talking with Ajahn Jayasaro, who was here, and we were agreeing that, yeah, it almost like you practice for a long time, and almost you go back to cliches, you know, like anicca dukkha anatta, mine, but it becomes more and more profound what that all means. And so understanding isn't like accumulation of knowledge that you get more and more kind of information. That's a different realm. That's the realm of science, or the realm of academic study. That has its place. But here we're not trying to get more information. No, we're using the same information actually to deepen our understanding of how freedom works and how it works. You know, it was interesting how Ajahn Jayasaro, both and I, you know, we say, yeah, it seems like we just say the same thing again and again. It's true, but why does it always seem kind of, oh yeah, I remember now. I need my name. all the time. Like the story I like to tell, that I said it last year, but I only have a few stories. So, where we were in London, and we were about to move to Chithurst, and there was a gentleman who was living with us. So we kind of knew him, didn't know him well. He wanted to be a member of the community. I wasn't sure if he was really kind of the material that would be helpful for us. And Luang Por Chah was living there. He was living there. I thought, Luang Por Chah will know. He'll know. He'll suss it out. And I said, so what do you think of this chap? You think he'll be all right at the monastery? And Luang Por looks at me, my nah. I said, you're supposed to know. But he wouldn't, you know, I'm not, it was like, I'm not going to fix a perception in your mind of what I think he is. Right? My nah. And I thought that, you know, I was disappointed because I just wanted an answer. Right? I didn't want the Dharma. But it's actually very wise, very, very wise. So how many times did he say that to us? My name, my name, my name. And when you take something like that as a kind of part of bhavana, and you keep encouraging right view, because that is right understanding, then it doesn't have effect on you. No, not immediately. You know, it's not it's like I said, it's not as apparent as like having a spoon of honey. That's quick, right? That's an experience. But this kind of minah, and it's changing and observing changing. Slowly, you begin to abide as witness. And that's very peaceful. As a witness, very, very peaceful. Okay, so let's do some meditation. Yeah. So stretch your legs a bit, and then we'll sit for 45 minutes. Maybe I'll just return to that body meditation. And just remember what I'm hoping to do with that body meditation is get this attitude of letting things become conscious, as opposed to just focusing on things for some kind of result. And I think this is very important in actually healing the body with all its stresses and strains. So if you do yoga nidra or whatever, so the way I describe it is to go to this part of the body and let it become conscious. And then if nothing is there, then that's fine. You're still conscious, you're still aware. And if something powerful is there, that's fine too. So we're not looking for any particular experience. So we're doing two things. We're localizing our attention and awakening the mind. And then we're allowing the body to present itself as sensation in whatever way it wants. So this can be very, very healing. Okay. So maybe we just go back to the pattern, listen to sound. And notice the awake mind. Knowing presence. And this is the first way of understanding right understanding. It's like this now. It's like this now. And then just rest as that. And then see how when you use something like, let's say if I use my gata, creating nothing, affectionate with everything. Now it's the knowing. And you see how language like that creates a certain attitude of presence. And then you can develop your own language around that. Bring your attention to your mouth. Feel the sensations, feel the mouth as sensation. Go inside the mouth. Feel inside the left cheek inside the mouth. And let sensations just manifest. So there's kind of a waiting presence. And things begin to be noticed or appear. Feel the right cheek inside the mouth. Let that become conscious as sensation, as vibration. Feel the upper palate. Feel the lower palate. Feel the teeth as sensation. And the tongue. And the lips. Now feel the whole mouth as sensation, vibration. Let it become conscious. Feel the muscles around the mouth. Feel the hinge of the jaw. Let that be conscious. Feel the muscles around the hinge of the jaw. Extend that feeling to the feelings of the ears. Feel the nose as sensation. Let that come into consciousness. Now, when you do that, do you squeeze your eyes looking for something, or do you just allow it to manifest as it will? Feel your eyes, the orbits of the eyes, the bony structures, and the eyes themselves. Let them drop forward. Feel the temples. And feel the top of the head. Back of the head. Feel the whole head now as sensation, changing, vibrating, be the knowing. And the neck, back of the neck, sides of the neck, and the throat as sensation. The shoulders, feel the left shoulder and down the arm to the hand, the whole right arm and hand as sensation. And the right arm, shoulder down to hand. Feel both arms, neck and head, all as one. One mass of vibrations. And if you start to get sleepy on this, then use the deep breathing as I suggested yesterday. The deep breathing, the posture, the hara. Do something quite vigorous. Feel the chest. Inside the chest, the rib cage, the upper spine, heart, lungs. Feel the abdominal area, lower spine, lower rib cage, organs in the abdominal area. Pelvic area, the bones, pressure of touching the cushion and the organs. Hips, thighs, knees, legs. Step back, feel the whole body as sensation. Changing. And so if you're looking for some experience, you'll have tension in your face. So it's good to monitor that. Body as sensation. Whole body awareness. Listen to sound. Feel the body. Be the knowing. So this is the way I like to set up the awake mind. And you could stay there, or you could choose something like the breath to sustain the awake mind. That's what we're doing. And then if you start to have whatever attitudes come up, you're really trying hard and not getting anywhere, then you just use language, just relax, nowhere to go. Or you're falling asleep, then more vigorous effort on the posture, whatever needs to be done. Okay, I'll leave that and we can sit quietly for the rest.